Ethan Vale had spent 5 quiet years on the edge of nowhere. His cabin stood at the border of a forest so thick and ancient that even sunlight seemed hesitant to intrude. Birdsong was his morning alarm. The trickle of a nearby stream was his evening lullaby. He chopped his own wood, grew his own vegetables, and hunted only what he needed. The world had grown too loud for him, too busy, too cruel. So he had left it behind. That's why, when the sky cracked open one evening in a roar of blue fire, Ethan stared from his porch in numb disbelief. A ship, sleek, silver, and burning, tore through the clouds like a falling star and slammed into the meadow not 100 yards from his cabin. Trees shuddered. The earth shook. Birds fled in chaotic bursts. Ethan grabbed his old rifle out of instinct. He didn't want trouble. He didn't want company. Yet trouble, apparently, had found him. He hurried across the clearing, boots crunching on frostbitten grass, heart hammering. The ship hissed as it cooled, metal groaning like a wounded animal. A hatch buckled open. Smoke poured out. And then she stepped through. Ethan froze. Tall, graceful, skin faintly luminescent under the moonlight, like polished pearl. Her long silver hair tumbled past her shoulders, swaying as she moved. Eyes the color of deep violet scanned the clearing, sharp yet oddly vulnerable. Her clothes were unlike anything he had ever seen. Elegant battle-scorched armor, parts of it cracked and sparking. She looked like a painting come alive. She also looked like she might collapse any second. Ethan lowered his rifle slowly. "Are you okay there?" Her gaze snapped to him. She stiffened, clearly on edge. For a moment, neither spoke. The wind carried only the crackle of cooling metal. Then, in accented but clear English, she said, "I require shelter." Her voice was soft, melodic, and strained with exhaustion. Ethan blinked. Shelter. He glanced at the smoking wreck behind her. "I'd say you need a lot more than that." She swayed on her feet. He lunged forward just in time to catch her as she collapsed. He hadn't planned on letting her stay. Yet now the mysterious woman lay unconscious on his bed, wrapped in one of his wool blankets, while he sat at the table staring into his half-finished cup of coffee, wondering what the hell had just happened to his life. Up close, she was, well, stunning to begin to cover it. Her features were delicate but strong, regal even, a faint silver pattern, almost like stardust, shimmered along her temples and down her neck, natural markings, not paint. When she finally stirred, hours later, her first words were, "Where am I?" "My cabin," Ethan said. "Middle of nowhere. Welcome." She sat up slowly, wincing. "I owe you my life, stranger. Name's Ethan." She hesitated, then said, "Lyra, Princess Lyra of the Kalari Dominion." He nearly choked on his coffee. Princess? As an actual royalty? She glanced around his small, rustic cabin with its wood stove, shelves akin goods and battered furniture. "You live alone?" "By choice." Lyra studied him, those violet eyes sharp and curious. "Most humans I've met cannot stand solitude." "Most humans you've met?" Ethan raised a brow. "You've been to Earth before?" "No," she admitted softly. "But I've read about it." Her voice cracked on the last words, and Ethan realized she was holding something back. Fear, grief, maybe both. Over the next few days, he learned pieces of her story. Her ship had been attacked. There were rebels in her empire who wanted her dead. Something about succession, politics, things Ethan had long ago stopped caring about. She had escaped barely in time, but had crash-landed here with no way to contact her people. "And the ones hunting you?" Ethan asked one evening as they shared stew by the fire. "They will come," Lyra said simply, staring into the flames. "They always do." Great, Ethan thought. Just what his hermit life needed. Galactic assassins dropping by. But the way he looked at her, the way firelight softened her sharp features, the way exhaustion lingered beneath her poise, he couldn't bring himself to tell her to leave. He told himself it was because she was injured, stranded, in danger. He didn't admit, even to himself, that maybe he liked having someone around again. Winter deepened. Snow fell in thick, soft blankets across the forest. Lyra helped with chores as she recovered, hauling water, chopping wood, surprisingly well, despite her elegant appearance, even mending one of his old coats to fit her slender frame. She asked endless questions about Earth, about its animals, music, even simple things like bread making and fishing. One evening, after they had spent hours clearing snow from the roof, she stood on the porch, cheeks flushed from the cold, silver hair glinting under starlight. "You live so simply," she murmured. "No palace, no servants, no endless voices demanding things of you." "That's the point," Ethan said. She looked at him, then really looked, and he felt pinned under that violet gaze. "It must be peaceful," she whispered. "It was," he teased, "before you crashed into my front yard." For the first time since she'd arrived, Lyra laughed, and something in Ethan's chest shifted, like ice breaking on a long frozen river. The night the hunters came, the forest went silent first. Ethan woke to Lyra shaking his shoulder, eyes sharp, posture tense. "They've found me." Dark shapes moved among the trees, tall, armed, faces hidden behind sleek helmets. Ethan grabbed his rifle. Lyra tried to convince him to run, but he shook his head. "Not leaving you to them." The fight was brief, chaotic. Blaster fire lit up the snow. Ethan took down two with his hunting rifle, before one tackled him into the drifts. And then Lyra moved, graceful as lightning, deadly as a storm. She fought with a blade of glowing energy, every strike precise, every motion fluid. When it was over, the hunters lay scattered and groaning in the snow, their ship retreating into the night sky. Breathing hard, Ethan stared at her. "Remind me never to make you mad." Lyra gave a weary, trembling smile. "You protected me," she said softly. "You protected me first," he replied. They stood there in falling snow, two people from different worlds, and something unspoken passed between them. Gratitude, yes, but also something warmer, something that terrified Ethan more than any alien assassin. Spring came slowly. Lyra repaired her ship, with parts scavenged from the hunter's wreckage. The day finally came when she could leave. Ethan told himself he would be relieved, that things could go back to the way they were before. Quiet, simple, but when she stood at the edge of the meadow, silver hair dancing in the wind, he felt anything but relieved. "You could come with me," she said suddenly. Ethan froze. Lyra's voice was steady, but her hands were clenched at her sides. "There's a whole galaxy out there, worlds beyond counting. I would show you all of them." He looked at the trees, the cabin, the life he had built out of solitude. Then he looked at her and realized none of it felt like enough anymore. Ethan Vale left Earth that day. The cabin, the forest, the life of silence, it all shrank beneath the clouds as Lyra's ship carried them skyward. He didn't know what waited among the stars. But when Lyra's hand found his warm and steady, he thought maybe, just maybe, he didn't need to know, because for the first time in years, Ethan wasn't alone, and neither was she.